This is the final word, Ashes Daily. It's day one from Perth. Jeff Lemon and Adam Collins on a show that is brought to you by Maurice Blackburn, the number one plaintiff law firm in Australia. And, well, they might have paperwork landing on their desk today. Some people may not be happy, some people might. Adam, please tell us, if you can, about that ridiculous day of Test cricket in 30 seconds.
An Ashes Day that'll be spoken about for decades. 19 wickets taken, 10 of them England's in a profligate display, all out 172. Mitchell Starc, career best 7 for 58. Archer goes bang, removes the new man Weatherall with the second ball of his career leg before. He gets two, Cast gets two, Khawaja caught behind, Smith likewise. Then it's the turn of Ben Stokes, takes 5 for 23, reducing Australia to 9 for 123 at the close, 49 behind. Goodness gracious me.
Woo! Let off some steam,
Yeah.
Bennett. 19 wickets in a day, and I mean, partway through the day, the story is Mitchell Starc. He's taken 7 for the first time in his career. He's never gone past 6 because he had to share the bags, if you will, with Pat Cummins and Josh Hazlewood. And today he didn't. Today he didn't have to do that. Today he got to hoover up the last bit on his own with nobody else interfering. Look, read
excavator.
The last couple, there was a point when he had 5 and then he gets 2 and 2 balls to finish it off with Smith and Wood both just trying to have a belt that he bowled so much better than that beforehand. But there's a real danger that this match doesn't get remembered for Mitchell Starc bowling so well on the first day when he had to do all the lifting basically. Scott Boland was off, Brendan Doggett was useful, but Starc had to do it all on his own. And then Australia, by managing to bat in such an astonishingly limp fashion through that last session of the day, it's even worse than it was against India last year. Bowl them out for 150, get bowled out for 104. Well, Australia here, they've conceded 172, and that might be enough for a healthy lead.
And we thought last year was wild, 67 for 7 at the close after all out 150. India, well, yeah, it's even more dramatic today. England went at better than 5s. Then they lost 5 for 12 from 19 balls to close their innings. So at one stage, obviously, Weatherall's out second ball and it takes them 4.5 overs to score. I mean, it's an astonishing day in so many ways. But we may as well start with the fact that Australia, I think 5 of them got what you would declare in one way or another a bit of a start. And by that I mean they reached double figures or they'd faced 30 or 40 balls or some version of that. And none of them have converted.
Hits at 20s, Carey hits at 20s, Head hits at 20s.
I think, there's different players that'll be frustrated in different ways. So Head's got out kind of that way before, but normally caught around the corner. He could not believe that he somehow spooned that to Bryden Cast at mid-on, but so it is with Ben Stokes. I mean, I don't know what it's about this bloke. He's just got that. It's so easy to make the comparison to Botham, but this is the golden bollocks Botham stuff, right? Whenever, the way that he was able to influence games in ways that didn't seem possible in his Test career, certainly at the peak of his powers. That's what Stokes is doing now through sheer bloody presence. Stokes just being there provides England with that much more confidence. I was on comms with Brody when Stokes was warming up, and he's like, this is like the perfect conditions for Stokes to run through a team here, and so it proved. Yep. And he did it with swing for Green. I think Green will be the most disappointed in a way, having faced 50 balls, and he looked by some way the most comfortable of the Australian batters, driving down the ground, defending with the ball under his eyes, and he got done by a tempter. And you get why he earned
put
the
his
right
head in the mousetrap.
Yeah, he earned the right to start playing in a more expansive manner by that stage of his innings, reaching 24. But Stokes has always had the ability to move the ball away from the bat with right-handers, especially. We've seen him bowl some magnificent spells of swing bowling earlier in his career. And so it continues to be. Ben Stokes, a marvel, 5 for 23. I think he's 6-5 for in Test cricket. And he's had a real say here. Having been bowled through the gate by Mitchell Starc at the start of the second session, which felt so decisive, maybe not symbolic. There were other moments that were more symbolic of England's demise. The happy hookers stuff 50 years later, 4 of them falling to the short ball in the last 5 wickets. However, Stokes lighting a fire under them again. They caught well. Everyone caught well today. 1 drop catch of Green on 5, which didn't cost them that much in the grand sweep of things. And this is, once again, cliched as it is, Test cricket in fast forward. What are we doing day 4? We're not going to be at the cricket.
No, certainly not day 5. No. Nobody's worrying about that. Let's wind it all the way back to the start, where you've got Mitchell Starc coming out. I mean, England chose to bat first up, which was odd. I mean, we were convinced they would bowl.
Do you think he batted first because the expectation was that
they would
bowl first, and he was just kind of like, to use a dated term, like punking us, going, oh, well, you think you know me, do you? You think you know what I'm going to do? Let me keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
That was how I felt.
He wins the toss and he's like, we're not going to bat or bowl. Psych. What do you think we're going to do? We're going to interpretive dance. Dance off. Ashes decided by dance. Let's do it. Maybe it was something like that. Maybe somebody just said to him, all the games here have been won by the team batting first, and maybe he listened to that.
It's the right decision, ultimately. I don't think people will view this scorecard.
It wasn't an hour after lunch.
But equally, I mean, I still think it was the right decision. I don't know how you saw this, but I saw this as performing better as a track than the one 12 months ago.
Yeah.
This did really feel like an old school Aussie day one pitch where there's clearly something there for the seamers, but the ball wasn't swinging, not for Australia, and the ball was carrying through. But that's what you want.
I reckon Duckett's one swung a little bit from Starc.
Yeah, true.
That was the only one.
But they weren't like the ball wasn't going around corners, so it was all off the surface, and you got to bend your back to get it going off the surface. And England's trick was bending their bloody backs.
But this is why I was so impressed by Starc's spell. I think it's the best good pitch spell I've ever seen him bowl, I reckon. I'd put it up there because he, we know that he's older. We know that he's deep into a career. He came on. Every ball was 140 plus for the first, I don't know how many overs. Yep. I was monitoring the speeds for a while, and he was 142, 144. He was right up there. He had pace going. And Crawley, nicks one trying to play the drive on the up, which he will, and that's not necessarily down to good bowling, but although there's enough pace angled across. But the Duckett ball, brilliant, left-hander, swinging. It's a way swing, but it was starting leg stump and would have been hitting some middle and leg by the time it smacks him on the shin. And then the Joe Root ball, which is kind of going towards middle and leg and then seams the other way, and it doesn't hit him high on the bat, it's sort of halfway up, but takes that nick that carries to the cordon. Yeah,
there'll be a lot of hand-wringing over Joe Root, and I get that because on paper he's made a 7-ball blob, right, and he kind of was worked over by Mitchell Starc, but, he got worked over by a bloke at the peak of his powers. There was so much talk about the ageing Aussie attack. Starc's gotten progressively better. Since 2019, I reckon, he's got progressively better as a cricketer. Full stop. But especially as a new ball bowler. And, there's an acceptance with Starc that sometimes he'll go around. But the way he was able to get Root squared up, and I mentioned before, good catching behind the wicket, that was a crucial catch by Marnus Labuschagne at third slip. And it means that Root's on the back foot at the very start of the series. And, the way that England chose to bat thereafter, Brooke was walking and running at Starc in the final over before lunch. I know Brooke gets to 52 and he was the leading run scorer on the day, but boy,
he's kind of allowed to do what he wants.
He did it with this extreme degree of risk throughout. He could have looked absolutely ridiculous in the final over before lunch had his walking to leg side charge thing. Had that been a full and straight ball by Starc and got castled the ball before the long break, it would have looked even more ridiculous. In the end, he's caught down the leg side when they set the leg side trap very effectively. It's a bit later on, but the leg side trap couldn't have worked any better, and it clearly was part of the thinking of McDonald and Smith and Cummins and co.
But it's like they get halfway through the innings and then kind of give up, England. They go, oh, well, no point trying to score any more from here. So there's the early burst from Starc, which gets 3. It's not burst, it's over the course of, 5 overs that he takes those wickets, or it was the 6th over even, when he takes those 3 wickets early. Then he starts just before lunch, comes back after lunch, and first over after lunch, gets Stokes.
After they went a bowl, and remember, his Bowen's hit for a 6, and suddenly you're like, well, if they consolidate here, it's Stokes, it's Brooke, they've got Smith to come, things can feel different.
Lofts him over sort of wide long off for 6. And Starc gets the one to go through Stokes that was an absolute beauty of a delivery. It was sort of wobble seam. It seemed to go away a little bit and then carved back in.
Great
hits
bowling.
The top of off stump. The gate's huge from Stokes, as it often is, and he always gives the pitch that look like, how am I out? How have I been bowled? Again, one of the many, many times that I've been bowled through this gate that I keep leaving. But it was a great ball. And then he gets Atkinson, who hung around for a couple of overs. But
no, Atkinson was the second ball. Atkinson was the one who nicked off second rock, right? So he keeps a strike with a single and then gets the thick edge chasing one. He's a better player than that, Atkinson. But again, it's different. Felt this way for both Atkinson and Carse, who ducked into a bouncer after nearly ducking into a bouncer and then falling to the short ball later in the same Doggett over. Credit to Doggett on debut to back him. Didn't bowl good short balls in his first spell, bowled a couple of them that didn't quite work. Credit to him for bowling to that plan. And remember, the plan they set, they were bowling conventional 6-3 fields for Smith. And Smith and Brooke have got a enormous partnership under their belts together back against the wall when no one else in the side made more than 17 and there were 6 ducks on the scorecard earlier this year. So they set what became 4-man back for Brooke, just waiting, and you could view that and go, why is Labuschagne 15 metres off the rope? Why not go all the way back? They didn't want to run the risk of him not being in close enough to catch the ball if he miscued. It was a great bit of captaincy. I know it wasn't Brooke that fell to it. Brooke was already off the glove, which is almost Hall of Fame worthy, the way that Doggett's first test wicket isn't one that he actually appealed for, but great review work there by Steve Smith at first slip, who heard the noise and was convinced it was from the glove.
Nobody else did. There were 2 players who knew. But maybe we will come to it.
It's Hall of Fame worthy, I think. But that's So for all of Starc's brilliance, Doggett played his role at the end. And then, like I say, 75-76, those happy hookers. Are we here again? Because they couldn't. It was compulsive once they started, notwithstanding. And I think that comes down to that. And I know it's the lower order, and I don't want to be too critical of bowlers who are in that situation. But Smith was part of it, to an extent Brook was as well.
Yeah.
These grounds are bigger. I know that we bang on about it in Australia, but they've got deeper pockets. They're footy grounds, right? It is much harder to clear the ropes, square of the wicket in Australia. The degree of difficulty is higher.
That's exactly what I thought.
There's carefree and there's careless. I've been asked many times through this lead-up period in interviews, the attitude of this England team, the way in which they play with such joy and free-spirited cricket. At one point, someone said, they play in a carefree manner. And I retorted by saying, where do you draw the line between carefree and careless? And I think we saw that with the way that they simply couldn't stop once the short pitch attack was set. Once the net was set, they were like, well, we're going to have to try and go over the top of the net. And they were out like literally 19 balls later.
Yeah, exactly. you go Brook, you go Smith, you go Cass, who whacks one to the deep, you go Mark Wood. So two of them end up with the keeper because the ball goes nowhere, but two of them are out in the deep. And that was exactly the note that I made. I haven't even spoken to you about it at the time, was the players taking those catches were 15 metres off the rope.
Good captaincy. Smith's good at this.
Because I'm like, these guys are thinking England. They're thinking Trent Bridge. They're thinking clear the little weird diagonal boundary down there over your shoulder, right? Where you've got to hit it 45 metres. It's like, no, you've got to hit it 80 metres here if you want to be hitting it for 6.
And the other side of it, is that Australia deciding to absorb pressure. And Labuschagne and Smith did a pretty good job to get through 9.5 overs before tea, but they were anchored to a major extent. And we saw this when India were here 12 months ago. If you can't apply any pressure the other way against high quality seam, it may well be that one's got your name on it. And I felt a little bit for the deflection for Labuschagne, not the first way he's been out that way, but extra bounce.
Off the elbow,
and Smith
popping.
got hit on the same.
That's what Archer can do. Archer gets such steep bounce at a player that it comes up at him in a way that's really difficult to ride over the top
And Smith got hit on the same elbow that he injured earlier in the year, which must have affected him. It was a really long pause in play. I wonder whether there might be more to that story, because that's the one that nearly kept him out of the Sri Lanka tour.
Right.
And he took ages to see, and he didn't look the same after he came back from that. So I know Smith's caught behind the wicket and it's a different dismissal, but still it's just noting that. And then there's the Khawaja story, where this general stiffness that we keep getting told about.
This is very much Hall of Fame.
Don't say the thing I think you're going to say, because you could get yourself in trouble if you start asserting what you think it might be. Don't repeat what's being said in the press box. Khawaja has got general soreness and stiffness from an unclear thing, and he had back spasm, we're told, the second time he went off the ground, so he couldn't open, and it threw them, right? Labuschagne, poor Marnus, having to go out and open, having done so well to get him back in that number 3 spot that he was jettisoned from. I'm not saying, let's get the violins out, but, it was not the perfect circumstances for him.
It was not ideal. So there's the 2 for Archer, where he gets Weatherald and he gets Labuschagne, and then there's the 2 for Cass, where he nicks off.
God, he bowled
Smith,
well, Bryden Cass.
And he did. And the ball to Khawaja's a tough one.
Snorter.
It jumps at him, and Khawaja brings the gloves up instead of dropping them down. You've got to drop the gloves. Couldn't, instinctively just reached up for it.
Do you think his glove was off the back Kaspovic style?
Ooh, maybe.
I kind of think it was.
Yeah.
I think that Khawaja knew it hit his glove, and we saw the replays, and I think he might have just extracted that hand from the top of the handle just when contact was made. Maybe. I mean, it's 50-50 one, right? But I can see a world where, had he reviewed it, he might have gotten the benefit of the doubt by umpire Sarko.
It's one of those ones where maybe it was, and maybe the law says that, but personally I think he still deserved to be out. Like, he was morally out.
Well, there you go. For the first time in the Ashes, morality has been cited. But no, Khawaja gets a snorter. The challenge for Khawaja, though, is that he's out to high pace again, and he's old. In cricket terms, he's old, and this will be a drumbeat. He's got 3 innings. He's basically got 3 innings to make a score. Otherwise, he's going to be in strife by Adelaide. That's what it boils down to. You set this up nicely on the weekly show when they named the squad. If Khawaja can't be influential in Test 1 or Test 2, they will move on him.
Yeah.
He's not going to get the farewell tour that he wishes to have unless he offers a contribution. He would know that. He's been around long enough. He's a smart guy, Usman. He'll know that he needs to find a way, and it's going to be very hard because the England seamers, 2 of them are bowling literally 150 plus. Cass has got it in the mid 140s, and Atkinson likewise, and Stokes has got it going already in the series. Not as quick as the other 4, but it's never going to be easy.
But can he?
It's never going to be easy. Life's never easy. It wasn't meant to be, arguably, but...
And wasn't he canny when, like you say, they're 4 down, the 2 Archer wickets, the 2 Cass wickets, and then Stokes comes in, and he bags Travis Head with the flick, the little pull shot.
How did that happen, the head thing, do you think? Just not getting up high enough, do you think?
Yeah, but he often pulls those balls. He was pulling those balls at Trent Bridge, at Headingley a couple of years ago, at Leeds, remember? Yep. He was smacking those over deep mid-wicket. Six balls that weren't getting up that high. He takes those balls on all the time in white ball cricket, opening the batting for Australia. He's often pulling a ball that's knee roll or less, and he somehow manages to go through mid-wicket. It just popped up.
A couple of things here. Well, we've already talked about Stokes and this enigmatic sort of character he is with the ball. That's the wrong word. The electrifying or the compulsive character. You have to watch him. You're compelled to watch him. Enormous credit to Bryden Cast. First Ashes Test match. He could have easily found himself out of the starting 11. He went at 60s against India early in the series, notwithstanding the fact that he was very influential in their win at Lords. There still could have been a world where Tung played or Bashir played or indeed Will Jacks played, but they backed him in and he's delivered in a really high quality spell of back of a length bowling. Just want to contrast that to the way Scott Boland bowled. Very full. Looked off today, Boland. Just looked off generally. I wonder whether he was crook or something.
His radar was wrong. He looked unhappy.
I don't know why.
He only bowled 10 overs and he went at
62 he went for. I don't know why he opened. He's bowled so well first change wide, changed the winning formula. Why not open with Doggett, as was sort of foreshadowed in the week? I'm not quite sure how that decision was arrived upon. He averages far more with the ball opening compared to first change.
And he might swing it a bit.
But I think England learned a lesson from that. They're like, no, let's try and go harder lengths and get the ball flying through on a pitch that's giving them plenty of bounce. Archer certainly did it superbly.
Yes.
Wood tried to do it and didn't ever quite bring the stumps into play. He was quick enough, but not quite there. Yep. Boy, Archer bowled well. Gave them nothing. Isn't Test cricket better for Jofra Archer's presence? Yes. Aren't we in a better world where Jofra Archer's running in bowling literally 150 clicks? Not us, sort of, no hyperbole here. He bowled multiple balls above 150 today. And if he can stay fit for, say, 3 of these 5 tests, or they can get him through 3 of the 5, it'll be a real factor. And the fact that Australia are 49 behind on the first innings,
with 1 wicket in hand,
claws into this one with the late collapse that saw them lose 3 for 1 at the end.
I've got Lyon and Doggett to resume tomorrow. I might come back to the very end of the innings in the Hall of Fame, which we'll get to in a moment.
Yes.
First,
we've
got to talk Zeus.
I can see it. I can see it. I can see your Zeus. I can see your Zeus. It's sitting on the floor.
This is the. I'm going to say revolutionary. I don't think that's overstating it, given that they've been developing this device for 15 years.
What were you doing 15 years ago?
I was snoring pretty badly, probably,
well,
and I didn't have a solution for it.
The fact that I don't have someone in the bedroom with me means it's going to be hard to monitor how much I'm snoring right now, but I am a believer.
Sounds like a problem that needs solving.
One of our dear friends on tour, who didn't have a girlfriend last year, has got a girlfriend now. Normally, I would give it to him to monitor while on tour, but that's unfortunately the way it's played out, and his partner's not on tour. Anyway.
I'm showing you, if you're seeing the camera, this looks like a little UFO, like one of the Independence Day, the fighters that come out of the big ship.
Oh, great reference.
To go and fight.
Great reference.
But you stick it under your chin, so you don't need to actually. I haven't done the full beard shave down yet, which I didn't have time last night. It was too late.
You're going to shave down like Michael Klim before the 2000 Olympics.
I'm gonna be superfish through the water. I'm going to smash them like guitars. But you attach this device, and it sends little electrical signals.
Do you know who likes it? Do you know who likes the? It does 2 things. The Zeus. It goes on the bottom of your chin. Vaughnie's over here to do a thing with me in a sec. He's into the Zeus. It helps the airflow come through into your gullet because it pushes your tongue forward with the tongue muscles.
With a little electrical prod. It's like a tiny little cattle prod for your tongue.
It's the TENS technology that you put on when you're in labour, which Rach was talking to me about. So we are familiar with that. And also, who's going to sleep better tonight? That might be a question we pose through the series. I reckon England are. Okay. After being rissold for 172, England are thinking, boy oh boy, we've worked our way back into this. So Zeus, they've got 5% off with us, TFW 2025, and you can access that by simply going into the show notes, finding Zeus Sleeps, put in the code. This is going to stop your snoring. We're going to stop snoring together this Ashes summer. Back in a moment with the Hall of Fame.
It's the final word. Ashes Daily, day 1 in Perth. It is the Hall of Fame, and well, I'm going to have an early nomination for Alex Carey. And we played quite nicely for a little while, and then I don't know why. With a few minutes to go to stumps, with a deep third set quite fine on the boundary, with Ben Stokes around the wicket, angling it in, short ball, he went, ooh, a little ramp shot. I might fancy myself a little uppercut.
With a third man back.
Oh, there's a guy standing there.
Did he know?
I think he just forgot. I think he must have
it's one of those where I'll look forward to asking him one day, maybe if they've won the Ashes, and we can put it to him. Because there's no excuse for it. It's proper Daphne and
was the
Celeste,
dumbest shot in a
UGLY, you ain't got no
competitive
alibi.
field.
It's ugly.
Yeah.
He went to leg side, 2 overs before stumps. For a clever cricketer, it wasn't a very clever piece of cricket.
No.
I've got some statty stuff for you, Jeff. That's the 8th time in Test cricket that 2 openers have been dismissed in the first over of a Test match. I think for naught. It is the
Never happened in the Ashes before.
It's the first time in the Ashes, and you know what? I can't read my own notes, but
That's
it's a good one. It's a Tommy Morris one from earlier today, and I think it was on Twitter as well. How about the over rate? We've ended up with 37 point. What have we got here? 39 plus 33 equals 71. We fall. I mean, I know that whatever over rates,
2 for the change of innings for 73.
but still, it might be the fewest number of overs we've ever had in a completed day Test cricket, where there's been 6.5 hours. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's noteworthy. We'll keep an eye on that in the way through. We didn't mention the drop from poor old Aussie Huss Atkinson, but that's okay. It's a lot of stuff that's happened today, and a lot of it.
But
is
we
worthwhile.
more than anything, we've got to come back in a little more detail to the Usman Khawaja bit, who is off the field as England are wrapping up their innings with his stiffness, his stretching, his soreness, whatever. How are you stiff and sore on day one of a Test match?
Did he get sore dropping the? This deserves further inquiry. I like to think our colleagues upstairs are doing that work right now. We might learn more about it tomorrow. Who's to know?
But how do you get sore?
There are
I don't
theories.
know. I don't know. In any case, he's off the field, which means he can't open the batting. It's Faf du Plessis declaring with David Warner in Adelaide in 2016 all over again, except there was no declaration. Surely at the point that they're about 8 down, you go, might want to hop back on the field there, buddy.
Did happen quick, though. That happened in about 10 minutes. So I don't know whether they would have had enough time. You might have been on the treatment bench, on the workbench.
You still got to get back on,
I think they would have done that had they. I'm going to tip that he was on the mass. I'm going to genuinely expect they couldn't get him, because they would have been privy to that information about the amount of time off the ground, on the ground thing. Anyway,
all
that
of
happened.
the stuff about who's going to open, all of the angst about the opening partnership and who's going to partner Khawaja and the rest of it, and he ends up batting 4. You had to bat 4 because Weatherall, poor old Premier, gets out so quickly that Khawaja hasn't served his time yet, and Smith has to come out and bat 3. So the whole thing was discombobulated from the beginning. It was all turned upside down. I'm not saying that's why they fell apart. They might have fallen apart anyway, but it surely cannot help to have your top 4 all jumbled around like socks in the back of the dryer, and you're trying to find the right one, and you can't get a suitable pair.
Poor old Jake Weatherall out second ball, didn't really talk about it, got done for pace, both balls he faced. It's going to be a talking point. It slots into the Hall of Fame here as we wrap up our show. Maurice Blackburn Lawyers, Australia's #1 plaintiff law firm. We love them for it. I've got those nice boots on today from Big Boots UK. Get the discount as you can from Zeus. It's all happening. Ashes Daily, we're here, Jeff. We're
here.
We're amongst it. It'll be a 3-day Test match probably. Tune in tomorrow. Adam Collins, Jeff Lemon, thank you for joining us on The Final Word. Catch you tomorrow.
See ya.